Hey, this is Professor Perez from Saddleback College. Today's the day we're going to do fractions. Oh, Charlie, he's really excited. He says he can hardly wait, so here's the day. Let's see if he's ready to go. Charlie, what are you doing over there? Wake up, we're doing fractions today. Get out a piece of paper and a pencil and get ready to go. All right, Charlie, so here we go. Right here, we're going to put a number line up. Now, we were doing addition and subtraction on a number line, and today we're going to work with adding and subtracting fractions on a number line, of course. So here we go. There's a number line there. Let's bring a number line right below it, Charlie. Pay attention. Now, here's 0, right? Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take 1 and we're going to divide it by 2. Okay? Don't get scared. Here we go. If we take 1 and basically divide it by 2, break it up into 2 pieces, we have 1 divided by 2. And there's our fraction. Now, we normally say that fraction as 1/2, which means 1 divided by 2, right? Now, the 1 on top is a numerator. And then we have the fraction bar, and the 2 on the bottom is called the denominator. Okay. Now, pay attention to denominators, because when you're adding and subtracting fractions, the denominators have to be the same. And we'll talk more about that very soon. Okay, here's 1/2. Now, let me ask you something, Charlie. If that's 1/2, and over here we have another half, right? How many halves does it take to make up a 1? 2 of them. 2 of them, of course. Now, let's show this on a number line. Here we go, Charlie. 1/2. There we go. That's 1/2. And if we add another half to this, right? What's 1/2 plus another half, Charlie? 2 halves. 2 halves, which is the same as 1. Of course, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 1/2 plus another half is 2 halves. It's like saying if you have 1 apple and somebody gives you another apple, how many apples do you have, Charlie? 2 apples. 2 apples, that's right. 1 apple plus another apple is 2 apples. 1/2 plus another half is 2 halves. That's it. Okay, Charlie, so let's continue on. Let's add another half. So how many halves do we have now? 3 halves. 3 halves, that's right. Now, as a mixed number notation, which some of you I know have heard of, here we go. We have 1 and another half. That's the same as 3 halves. We'll talk about mixed numbers a little bit in this lecture, because this is an introduction. We'll talk later on in the semester more in detail about mixed numbers. Okay, here we go, Charlie. We have 3 halves, which is the same as 1 and 1/2. If we add another half, how many halves do we have, Charlie? 4 halves. 4 halves, there you go. And 4 halves is the same as what, Charlie? 2. 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's right. All right, let's continue on. Let's add another half. How many halves do we have now? 5 halves. 5 halves, very good. As a mixed number, it's what? 2.5. 2 and another half. There you go. Now, let's add one more half. And how many halves do we have, Charlie? 6 halves. 6 halves, that's right. And 6 halves is the same as 3. Very nice. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the mixed number. Here we have 3 halves, Charlie. Remember? That's 1/2 plus another half is 3 halves. 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 is 3 halves. It's like 1 apple plus another apple is 3 apples, except we have halves. All right, Charlie. Now, in the mixed number notation, it's 1 and 1/2, right? 1 and 1/2 is the same as 3 halves. Now, how do you change a mixed number to the improper fraction? 3 halves is said to be an improper fraction because it's a fraction that represents a number bigger than 1. Okay? All right, Charlie. Now, what are you supposed to do to change the mixed number to the improper fraction, Charlie? Put a fraction bar with a 2 on the bottom. Okay, we bring a fraction bar and we put a denominator of 2 because we're dealing with halves, right? All right. Now, what are you supposed to do? 2 times 1. 2 times 1. Now, what is 2 times 1, Charlie? 2. 2. Now, why do you do that? Most people are just said, hey, just multiply this and add that. That's what we're going to talk about. What you're actually doing here is when you take 2 times 1, it's 2. Well, that 2 times 1 is telling you that you have 2 halves that make up a 1. See, 2 halves make up the 1. So when you do 2 times 1, it's telling you 2 halves make up a 1. And then what are you supposed to do, Charlie? Then you're supposed to add another 1, right? Because what you have here is you have 2 halves plus the other half, right? So 2 times 1 is 2 plus the 1 up there, the 1/2, which gives you how many halves, Charlie? 3 halves. 3 halves. So there's your introduction to changing a mixed number to an improper fraction. We'll talk more about that later in the semester. All right, let's go back to our fractions, though. Okay, here we go, Charlie. There's our number lines. This time, we're going to take a 1, and we're going to break it up into 3 pieces. Means we're going to take 1 and divide it by 3. And so here we have 1 divided by 3, which we say as 1/3. Okay, Charlie. Now, how many thirds, Charlie, does it take to make up a 1? 3 of them. 3 of them, of course. So let's do our addition on the number line with fractions. So here we go. 1/3. 1/3, Charlie, plus another third is how many thirds? 2/3. 2/3, of course. It's like 1 apple plus another apple is 2 apples, except we're dealing with thirds. So 1/3 plus another third is 2/3. Let's add another third, Charlie. What do we get? 3/3. 3/3, very nice. And 3/3 is the same as 1. Very nice there, Charlie. Let's continue on. Add another third. How many thirds do we have? 4/3. 4/3, that's right, which is 1 and 1/3. There, you can see it right there. If we add another third, that is how many thirds, Charlie? 5/3. 5/3, which is the same as 1 and 2/3 in the mixed number notation. Now, add another third. How many thirds do we have, Charlie? 6/3. 6/3, that's right, which is the same as 2, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. There you go. All right, Charlie, here we go. Add another third. What do we have? 7/3. 7/3, which is the same as 2 and 1/3. 1/3, very nice. If we add another third, how many thirds are there? 8/3. 8/3, that's right, and that's 2 and 2/3. And finally, another third gives us 9/3. 9/3, which is the same as 3. So if you have all thirds, just add them up. All right, so let's do some problems. Here we have 2/3 plus 3/3, Charlie. Now don't get scared. It's like saying, hey, what's 2 plus 3, Charlie? 5. 5, that's right. If you have 2 apples and somebody gives you 3 more apples, how many apples do you have, Charlie? 5 apples. 5 apples, that's right. So, Charlie, what is 2/3 plus 3 more thirds? 5/3. 5/3, that's right. Now, if we show this on a number line, here we go. 2/3 plus 3 more thirds is how many thirds, Charlie? 5/3. 5/3, there it is. So as long as your denominators are the same, it's basic arithmetic. Just 2/3 plus 3/3 is 5/3. Now, how do you show this if you're going to write down your work? Well, since we're dealing with thirds, we write a fraction bar, right? Bring our 3 down in our denominator because we're dealing with thirds. And all you have to do is add the numerators. It's just 2 plus 3. And Charlie, what's 2 plus 3? 5. 5. But it's 5 what? Thirds. 5/3, and that's it. There's your answer. So you see, as long as the denominators are the same, it's very easy. Very soon, we'll get to the problems where the denominators are not the same, where you have to find the common denominator, or preferably the lowest common denominator. That's coming up soon. But let's do one more problem here, Charlie. Here we have 8/3 subtract 4/3. Now don't get scared. It's like if you have 8 apples and somebody takes 4 of your apples away, Charlie, how many apples do you have? 4 apples. 4 apples. So 8/3 take away 4/3 is what, Charlie? 4/3. 4/3. It's that easy. So let's go here. We'll take 8/3, now subtract, means we're going to move to the left, but we're going to subtract 4/3. And what do we end up at, Charlie? 4/3. 4/3, of course. And so to show our work, hey, we draw our fraction bar, we have thirds, and we take our numerators, 8 subtract 4. What's 8 subtract 4, Charlie? 4. 4, but it's 4/3. And there you go. That's part 1 of our introduction to fractions. So we'll come back for part 2 very soon. So take a break, relax, and we'll come back and do more fractions. Woohoo!